Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live with the Pricing Lady. I'm Janine Liston, your hostess. Welcome to the show. This show is all about helping small business owners build the right pricing strategy so they can confidently charge their customers for the value they deliver, helping you turn your purpose into profits. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about the fact that pricing is a thought process. Actually, price setting. Let me be more precise about that. Price setting is a thought process. Now, this may come as a surprise to some of you. Quite often when clients come to me, the first thing that they're expecting from me is a mathematical formula that I can provide them that will magically give them the price. And I'm sorry to have to share this with you and burst that bubble, but there is no such formula. Now, of course, there are mathematical approaches to pricing, and math is going to be involved in any approach that you take. However, it's actually the thought process that you apply to setting your prices that will make the bigger difference. It will yield the best prices for you. Now, one of the things I want to do was dispel a few myths. So the first myth that I've already dispelled is that, no, sorry, there is no magical formula for you. Another myth that comes up quite often is that once you've set a price, you're actually done with pricing. This couldn't be further from the truth. Some of you may have heard me say this before, but pricing is actually a way of being or let's say actions that you take in a business, the way you think in your business. That's when pricing really gets good, when it becomes something that you're doing naturally and along the way. So no, price setting is not the only activity that you need to do. In fact, quite often, how you communicate your prices is even more important than the number itself. But that is a topic for another day, or actually I may have covered it in an earlier episode when we looked at communication. But in this episode, we're really focusing on the setting of prices. So let's take a look at the price setting thought process that I use with my clients. Now, I go through this, I use this approach with all different kinds of clients. So service and product-based businesses, with small businesses, with medium-sized businesses, with big businesses. As long as you're not selling a commodity, and I'm going to be really clear about that in a moment, then you should be setting your prices based on value, and that's where this process comes in. Now, let me go back and clarify what I mean by a commodity. When I'm talking commodity, I'm really talking about the true commodities that are traded on the market. Right? So I'm not talking about, everybody else does what I do, therefore I'm a commodity. No. In my definition, that does not represent a commodity. That just means that you actually have to choose where on the spectrum you want to be in terms of the level of value you deliver. A true commodity is going to be one that's traded on the market, kind of like oil or coffee before it actually becomes the coffee that we get. It's actually traded in the marketplace, or even chocolate for that matter. But chocolate that is being sold to the consumer then becomes something that is actually sold more based on value than it is on commodity prices. So let's keep that in mind as we move forward. Okay, there are 5 steps in this price setting thought process. And I'm guessing that those of you who are watching or listening to this can actually guess, if you've listened to me long enough, where this process starts. It starts with the customer. This is step number 1. Why is this step number 1? Well, because pricing is rooted in a deep understanding of your customer. If you are not clear about who you're targeting, and if you do not understand what their problem or desire is, or where, where they're looking to get to, or what they truly value, then pricing is going to be very difficult for you. Well, difficult in the context that 1, you won't know what to do, and or 2, you'll end up setting very general prices, which generally means you're going to be at the low end of that range. So you want to understand who your target customers are, because most of you will have more than one. And even when you say, okay, well, I'm going to target small businesses, there are different types of small businesses. There are, solo entrepreneurs who tend to behave in a more business to consumer context than, say, a small business with 15 or 20 people. They tend to behave more like B2B, to B. All right, everybody. I think I'm back now. I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully, you didn't miss too much there, so I'll back up a little bit. We are looking at step number 1, which is your customer. And I was talking about segmentation and the importance of segmentation when it comes to setting your prices. So knowing who the main target customer group is and other target customer groups that in time, maybe not all at once, you want to work with, and understanding that they may value different things. Now, this shouldn't be something that concerns you. It should be something that excites you, because that means that you can charge them different prices for delivering different things of different levels of value. That's a lot of differences, but that's okay. I hope that was clear. Step number 2, once you understand who you're targeting and what they value, then you can actually say, these are my offers. I'm afraid again that you can't hear me. But I will keep trying and see what happens. Actually, can you... I think not, but I wanted to check. Okay, well, hopefully you can hear me. I keep going. It looks like the mic is not functioning properly, which means you cannot hear me. But you can see me, so it's kind of stressing out here. Well, this is good fun. All right, let me keep going just in case those of you who are watching me live can hear this. So step number 2, we get into what am I going to offer these people? Now, what most people do is they will first say, this is the offer that I have. Now, if you're a service-based business, you'll say, this is my offer. These are my competitors. I'll price somewhere just below or around where they are. And for product-based businesses, they will say, I have this great new offer. Let me find a customer to sell it to. And this, to me, is the wrong approach. You should first understand who's out there and has a problem in an area that you can fix, find out what they value, and then create your offer. When we look at the offer, we're also looking at not just each individual, this product, but we want to look at the whole portfolio of products and the journey that your customer takes when they are working with you. Because the price of this product here is going to be related to the other things that you have to offer your customers. So there's a relationship there, and you want to make sure you understand that as well. So in addition to that, you also have some products that you're going to use to entice customers to work with you or to take that first step to buy something from you. And you're going to have other products that are the reason they come to work with you. And you're going to have different pricing strategies at a product level for those things. So again, these are the types of things that you want to look at and understand when it comes to the offer. Once we're at this point, we're actually starting to get an idea of what we can charge on a very rough level. Where we starting to crystallize that is in step number 3. Step number 3 is all about how you can define the economic value that you bring customers. So the economic value is really taking a look at when they work with you or when they use your product, how can you calculate the value that they might get from using that product or working with you? Yes, here's where you're going to have to get some concrete numbers. That's absolutely true. But this is really where the rubber meets the road, and where clients who work with me find they actually make the biggest shifts. This is where things really start to move and shake. And where you really can start to have that first concrete view of what those prices are. In the next step, step number 4, is where we then do our first check. So we take the prices that we've set in this first phase, and then we look at them in the marketplace and what our competition is doing, what prices they offer, what value they have, and where we fit in that whole, map, if you will. And when you do that, then you might actually decide you need to adjust something, and you'll go back, you look at the target customer, or you'll look at the offer or something like that. And then we come to the 5th step, which is where you do your cost and profit check. So now you've got a really good idea of what your prices could be, but you want to make sure that they are fit for purpose. And by that I mean that you can actually make a profit with them. So now we look at revenue streams, we look at how much money am I going to make from certain products and offers in my business? And what does it mean in terms of how much volume I have to do? And is that even realistic? Can I really do that? That's what we do in the 5th step, along with running some scenarios and different ideas of how we could run the business with those prices. Now, one very important thing I'd like to remind you is that as we go through this whole process, we are oftentimes circling back. So we may find something when we look at the value map and the market positioning that doesn't make sense. So we need to go back and make sure, okay, we've understood. We didn't make any strange assumptions when it came to what customers value. We may need to, make an adjustment to the price because maybe it's not quite where it should be in terms of where we want to have ourselves positioned. So this is, on one hand, it's a linear thought process, but it's got loops in it. So when you find something that isn't quite right, you go back and reassess what you understood and the assumptions that you make. Those, ladies and gentlemen, are the 5 steps in my price setting thought process that I use with customers. Now, some of you are probably thinking, wow, that seems like a lot of work. And yes, of course, the first time you do it, it can be quite heavy. The point is, once you do it once, then it becomes part of your normal thinking, and it becomes much more effortless later on, unless you get into a whole new market, and then you're going to put a little bit more attention into it. But that was what I wanted to share with you today. I really do hope that you were able to hear me throughout, and if you can't, you won't hear this, but I'll say it anyhow. I will record the episode if indeed that was an issue. If you have any questions for me, you can always plop them into the comments below. I will get to them and answer them. Even if you're watching this later on after the live feed has ended, I'll do my best to go back and answer those questions. Of course, if you'd like to talk to me about how we can work on pricing in your business, you can head on over to JanineListon.com/discovery call and book yourself a call with me. We'll talk for about 20 minutes, and then I can share with you how I could best help you. That's all there is for today, folks. I wish you all the best. And as always, enjoy pricing, everyone.